The person has a mold, but not its animal. The angelic ones speak of the soul, the mind. It is an animal, the blue guitar. On that its claws propound, its fangs articulate its desert days. The blue guitar a mold? That shell? Well, after all, the north wind blows a horn on which its victory is a worm composing on a straw. A dream, to call it a dream, in which I can believe in face of the object. A dream no longer a dream, a thing of things as they are, as the blue guitar, after long strumming on certain nights, gives the touch of the senses, not of the hand, but the very senses as they touch the wind gloss. Or as daylight comes, like light in a mirroring of cliffs, rising upward from a sea of X. That I may reduce the monster to myself, and then may be myself in face of the monster. Be more than part of it, more than the monstrous player of one of its monstrous lutes. Not be alone, but reduce the monster and be two things, the two together as one, and play of the monster and of myself. Or better, not of myself at all, but of that as its intelligence, being the lion in the lute before the lion locked in stone. What is there in life except one's ideas? Good air, good friend. What is there in life? Is it ideas that I believe? Good air, my only friend. Believe would be a brother full of love. Believe would be a friend, friendlier than my only friend, good air. Poor pale guitar. A substitute for all the gods, this self. Not that gold self aloft, alone, one's shadow magnified, lord of the body, looking down as now and called most high, the shadow of Chokuria in an immenser heaven, aloft, alone, lord of the land and lord of the men that live in the land, high lord. One's self and the mountains of one's land, without shadows, without magnificence. The flesh, the bone, the dirt, the stone. Poetry is the subject of the poem. From this the poem issues, and to this returns. Between the two, between issue and return, there is an absence in reality, things as they are. Or so we say. But are they separate? Is it an absence for the poem which requires its true appearances there, sunscreen, clouds red, earth-feeling sky, that thinks? From these it takes, perhaps it gives, in the universal intercourse. A few final solutions, like a duet with the undertaker, a voice in the clouds, another on earth, the one a voice of ether, the other smelling of drink. The voice of ether prevailing, the swell of the undertaker's song in the snow, apostrophizing wreaths, the voice in the clouds, serene and final. Next, the grunted breath, serene and final, the imagined and the real, thought and the truth, Dicton und Wahrheit, all confusion solved. As in a refrain, one keeps on playing year by year concerning the nature of things as they are. A poem like a missile found in the mud, a missile for that young man, that scholar, hungriest for that book, the very book, or less a page, or at the least a phrase. That phrase, a hawk of life, that Latin phrase, to know, a missile for brooding sight. To meet that hawk's eye and to flinch not an eye, but at the joy, not at the eye, but at the joy of it. I play. But this is what I think. He held the world upon his nose, and this away he gave a fling. His robes and symbols, ay, and that-a-way he twirled the thing. Sombre as fir trees, liquid cats moved in the grass without a sound. They did not know the grass went round. The cats had cats. The grass turned gray. And the world had worlds, aye, this-a-way. The grass turned green, and the grass turned gray. And the nose is eternal, that-a-way. Things as they are, things as they are, things as they will be by and by. A fat thumb beats out, aye-yi-yi-yi. The world washed in his imagination. The world was a shore, whether sound or form or light, the relic of farewells, rock, of valedictory echoings, to which his imagination returned, from which it sped a barren space, sand heaped in the clouds, giant that fought against the murderous alphabet, the swarm of thoughts, the swarm of dreams, of inaccessible utopia. A mountainous music always seemed to be falling and to be passing away. It is the sea that whitens the roof. The sea drifts through the winter air. It is the sea that the north wind makes. The sea is in the falling snow. This gloom in the darkness of the sea. Geographers and philosophers, regard. But for that salty cup, but for the icicles on the eaves, the sea is a form of ridicule. The iceberg's settings satirize the demon that cannot be himself, that tours to shift the shifting scene. I am a native in this world, and think in it as a native thinks. Gesu, not native of a mind, thinking the thoughts I call my own, native, a thing in the world, and like a native think in it. It could not be a mind, the wave in which the watery grasses flow, and yet are fixed as a photograph, the wind in which the dead leaves blow. Here I inhale profounder strength, and as I am I speak and move, and things are as I think they are, and say they are, on the blue guitar. In the cathedral I sat there and read, alone, a lean review, and said, these disgustations in the vaults oppose the past and the festival. What is beyond the cathedral, outside, balances with nuptial song. So it is to sit and to balance things, two and two, and to the point of still. To say of one mask it is like, to say of another it is like, to know that the balance does not quite rest, that the mask is strange, however like. The shapes are wrong, and the sounds are false. The bells are the bellowing of bulls. Yet Franciscan Don was never more himself in this fertile glass. From this I shall evolve a man. This is his essence, the old Fantoche, hanging his shawl upon the wind, like something on the stage, puffed out, his strutting, studied through the centuries. At last, in spite of his manner, his eye a cock at the cross-piece on a pole supporting heavy cables, slung through Oxidia, banal suburb, 1/2 of all its installments paid. Dapper clapper-traps, blazing from crusty stacks above machines. Ici, Oxidia is the seed, dropped out of this ember pod. Oxidia is the soot of fire. Oxidia is Olympia. How long and late the pheasant sleeps, the employer and the employee contend, combat, compose their droll affair. The bubbling sun will bubble up, spring sparkle, and the cockbird shriek. The employer and employee will hear and continue their affair. The shriek will rack the thickets. There is no place here for the lark, fixed in the mind, in the museum of the sky. The cock will claw asleep. Morning is not sun. It is this posture of the nerves, as if a blunted player clutched the nuances of the blue guitar. It must be this rhapsody or none, the rhapsody of things as they are. Throw away the lights, the definitions, and say of what you see in the dark that it is or that it is that. But do not use the rotted names. How should you walk in that space and know nothing of the madness of space? Nothing of its jocular procreations? Throw the lights away. Nothing must stand between you and the shapes you take when the crust of shape has been destroyed. You as you are, you as yourself. The blue guitar surprises you. That generation's dream aviled in the mud. In Monday's dirty light, that's it. The only dream they knew. Time in its final block, not time to come, a wrangling of two dreams. Here is the bread of time to come. Here is its actual stone. The bread will be our bread, the stone will be our bed, and we shall sleep by night. We shall forget by day, except the moments when we choose to play the imagined pine, the imagined jay.